Greetings, everyone. Raymond Lacoste here with StormWind Studios. And I want to take this opportunity to share with you a common question that I receive in ITIL, and that is, where should I begin? Now, why am I asked this question? Well, it's because people are extremely overwhelmed when they are first introduced to ITIL. You see, ITIL is something that we can implement, so that way there we can be more efficient and we can be more effective when we are delivering our services to each and every single one of our customers. So when it comes to ITIL, there are many best practices that can be accomplished, that can be done. And people get extremely overwhelmed because they want to do it all. But you can't do it all, folks. And therefore, you need to do a little bit here, do a little bit there, do a little bit here, do a little bit there. So the question then is, well, where should I even begin then? Where should I start focusing my particular attention? Well, before I tell you one of the really great places to focus your attention at first when it comes to ITIL, let's get a little bit of a better understanding of what ITIL is. So first and foremost, folks, ITIL is the most widely adopted guidance for IT service management. Right? Well, what does that even mean? Well, we today provide services. Services to who? Services to many different people. And these services are going to be IT enabled in some way, shape, or form. And therefore, it is really important that we manage these IT services as efficiently and effectively as we can. So that way there we're always providing the level of service that the customer is looking for. So what is ITIL specifically? ITIL is a framework for service management. So a framework for managing those IT services that we are providing day in and day out to our customers. And so we adopt and we adapt this particular framework as needed, so that way there we can ensure that we are providing the best possible services. And as you can see, this particular framework is made up of many different elements. And these elements combined are going to be utilized to take various opportunities that arise, as well as demand that is placed upon us as the service provider, to then convert or deliver the value that the particular customer is looking for. So these elements are going to help me convert that opportunity and demand into value. So first and foremost, what in the world is an actual service, and why is this framework going to help me out? Well, a service, folks, is a means of enabling value co-creation by facilitating outcomes that customers want to achieve without the customer having to manage specific costs and risks. Now, that is a mouthful, but it is the official definition of a service in the world of ITIL. So what does this really mean? It means this. You have customers, and those customers need to accomplish something. That is their outcome. And in order for them to achieve their outcome, they are going to be depending on your service. Now, the only way that service is going to help them accomplish their goal is if it is valuable. That's right, valuable to them. Because if it's not valuable to them, then it's not going to help them accomplish their goals, their mission, their objectives, so their outcomes. And therefore, it means it no longer has value, and therefore, they're not going to be your customers anymore. So it's about providing those customers with the value they need in order to achieve whatever it is they're trying to achieve. And you're going to do so in a way so that way they don't have to manage the very specific costs and risks that go along with producing that value. Because if they really wanted to manage the very specific costs and risks, they would do it themselves. They just do it themselves and not seek you out as a provider. So when you provide a service to your internal users, well, they're customers, or to external users, those are customers as well. When you're providing services to them, you want to make sure you are providing the best services possible, so that way they are as valuable as possible, so that way they can accomplish the outcomes, the mission, the goals, the objectives that they're trying to accomplish day in and day out. So it doesn't matter whether it's somebody who works in HR or somebody who is working in sales or customer support or marketing or finance. You, as an IT professional, are providing them some service, and you want to provide them the best possible IT service. So you adopt and you adapt this particular framework. So that way there, you can ensure you are providing the best services possible. Now, one part of this framework that stands out here is practices. And this is where people commonly question, where do I even begin with these practices? These practices are extremely important, folks. These practices are going to help us to more efficiently and effectively perform work and accomplish very specific objectives. So the definition of a practice is a set of organizational resources that have been designed by us specifically for performing the work we need to perform and for accomplishing those objectives that we are trying to accomplish. So therefore, when you're with me in ITIL, you all of a sudden see that there are 34 different practices. And this is where you go, wow, where do I even begin? Now, when you look at these practices, you will see that there's a lot of them here that are all extremely valuable. You know what? All 34 of them are valuable in some way, shape, or form to your organization, whether you see that value here right now or not. But the thing is that if you are new to ITIL, or even if you're a veteran of ITIL, the one I'm going to share with you today is the one that has a really huge impact on the value of the service you are providing. Absolutely, hands down. Now, all of these are going to have an impact on your value. But the one I'm going to talk about really, and it helps ensure that the customers are getting that value that they expect at that moment in time. All right, and which one is it? It's incident management. That's right. Now, you may be sitting there going, no, Raymond, no way, I would not go with that one. That's fine, right? Why? Because remember what I said earlier? This is something you adopt and you adapt. And if you're new and you have none of these ITIL practices in place, right, this is the one that I would encourage you to start with. Why? Because it's what I like to call, something that's going to give you quick wins. That's right. It's going to enhance the customer's perspective of you, the actual provider. Now, why is that? Well, incident management is about minimizing the negative impact of an incident. And we're going to do so by restoring normal service operation as quickly as possible. Now, some of you might be saying, well, what in the world is an incident? Well, an incident is an unplanned interruption to a service or a reduction in the quality of a service. So, for example, you have a web server. That web server all of a sudden goes down. Well, the service that web server was providing is no longer available. That is an incident. It's an unplanned interruption to a service. The service the web server is providing is no longer available. That is classified as an incident, right? What about the reduction in the quality of a service? Well, let's say normally it takes somebody 15 seconds to download a file. Now it's taking 15 minutes to download that same file. The service is still working, folks. It's just that the quality of that service has significantly degraded. That is also an incident because the service is not performing as it's expected to perform based on who? Based on the customer's expectations. So, an incident, folks, you can call an issue. I do not, though, want you to call an incident a problem, because an incident is not a problem. That's right. There is such a thing as problem management in the world of ITIL. And it is related to incident management, but they are supposed to be kept separate. And here's the reason why. Let me give you an example. Let's say I have a server, a Windows server, and that Windows server all of a sudden has a nice blue screen showing up on my monitor. Some of you may be familiar with the good old blue screen of death. Haven't seen one in a while, by the way. But you know what? You might still get one. That blue screen has locked up my system. That is an incident. It's an unplanned interruption to the service that I am providing to that customer. Now, here's what we always have to remember. Our customer is using the service because it's extremely valuable to them. It allows them to accomplish the outcomes that they need to accomplish without having to take on the specific costs and risks associated with it. Right now, because the server is down, it has blue screened on me, there is zero value now. And the whole premise behind a service is that it's providing value. It is providing value or it's not providing value. And customers care about that the most today. Am I getting the value from that service that allows me to do what I am doing as best as I can do it at a price I'm willing to pay? And so therefore, if that service isn't working at all, that's an incident. And therefore, at that point, has zero value. That's right. Customers are not going to be happy at this point in time. So we have this unplanned interruption to our service. The value now is like nothing at this point in time. And therefore, if I do not minimize this negative impact that is being produced by this incident, then that value is going to be zero for a long time. And if the value stays down for a really long time, then customers and their perception of us as a provider goes down. And therefore, we have unhappy customers. Now, if they're internal customers, that's not good. Right? Because we're providing services so they can do their jobs internally in the organization, so they can provide services to other people. If they can't provide the services to other people, that's going to negatively affect the business downstream. And you don't want that, folks. You don't want that. Right? If they're external customers, paying customers, well, then they're not going to want to pay you because the service is down. So, I have my blue screen. I have two options here, folks. I can either restore normal service operation as quickly as possible, or I can solve the problem. Well, solving the problem requires me to invoke problem management. And the thing we need to realize is that solving the problem takes time, takes energy, is going to prolong this issue, this incident, which means value is going to be low for a while if I start working on the problem. But there is a quick way to recover from a blue screen, or at least attempt to recover from a blue screen first. And what is that? Power cycle the device? Let's just go ahead and power it off and turn it back on. And you know what? If that solves the incident, that means we have minimized the negative impact of the incident and we have restored normal service operation as quickly as possible. It's working again. What does that mean? It means the value has been restored. Customers are happy. That's what it means. That right there is what I classify a quick win. We have happy customers. We were able to resolve this particular incident as quickly as possible. The problem probably still exists. But you know what? We can deal with that in problem management. Problem management is going to make sure the incident doesn't happen ever again, because I'll likely figure out what the problem is, in this case, and then fix the problem, therefore the incident will never occur again. right? And sometimes not all problems can be solved, and therefore we might need a workaround, right? But that's problem management. The thing here is that with incident management, I immediately provided value back to the customer. With problem management, it could be a day or two before value gets restored. So I'm trying to restore value here as quickly as possible. So let's say now 17 days goes by without a blue screen, and then all of a sudden it blue screens again. Well, we know what to do. As soon as we know there's a blue screen, reboot, done. Right? Make note of it, jot it down. Right? Start realizing that this is going to be a recurring incident because there is an underlying problem we have to deal with. But the fact of the matter is every time it blue screens, we are quick on the trigger to restore. And that's what this is all about. So, and that's why I'm recommending this to everybody as their very first one if they have no ITIL practices in place. Why? Because from a customer's perspective, you are awesome, you are fast, you are efficient, you are effective when issues happen, when incidents happen. So the practice, remember, the practice is what? The practices are designed to help us more efficiently and effectively perform work and accomplish our specific objective. So our objective here is to minimize the negative impact as efficiently and effectively as possible, restore normal service operation as quickly as possible. So whatever work's involved there that we need to do efficiently and effectively to accomplish that objective. And the end result is happy customers. So the incident management practice is going to lay out those step-by-step instructions that we should be following each and every single time we have an incident. We need to own that incident, timestamp that incident, log the incident, manage the incident, prioritize and categorize. If for some reason it's a major incident or security incident, then we'll have sub-processes, sub-steps that are associated with major incidents or security incidents that'll help us make sure that we are doing the right things at the right time during those major types of scenarios or those security types of scenarios. How do we diagnose? How to resolve? And if for some reason we cannot during this practice resolve, well then, what do we do next? What do we trigger next? Who do we escalate it to? Is that part of some other practice now? Like, do we escalate it to subject matter experts that will then invoke problem management in order to solve the problem? So that way there? Or maybe the subject matter experts have a quick fix for the incident right now. So that way there we can just restore the normal service or restore the service to normal operation as quickly as possible. And then they can work on the problem behind the scenes. Right? So that's what it's all about here. It's all about maintaining that value as much as we can, as fast as we can. So for those of you who are new to ITIL, you might be saying to yourself, well, wait a second, I already have something like this in place. Great, you know what? You're using an ITIL practice and you didn't even know it. So you're already in the game. You already have 1 foot in the world of ITIL. Now it's about taking the time to make these better, not perfect them. There's no such thing as perfection in ITIL, folks. You'll always find ways to do things a little bit better. But if you can create, first and foremost, a really solid, sound incident management practice that you can invoke over and over and over again and be successful at minimizing the negative impacts of incidents, restoring normal service operation as quickly as possible, you will have extremely happy customers. Absolutely. So, folks, thank you for watching today's video on ITIL, specifically the incident management practice. And for more information, for more training, please feel free to check out www.stormwind.com, whether it's for ITIL training, Cisco training, PMP training, Linux training, A+ training. Maybe you're interested in Python, whatever it happens to be, folks. Check us out and let us help you expand your knowledge. Take care, folks, and bye for now.